Hello and welcome back. In this tutorial, we're going to talk about resource-based policies. So we've already spoken about identity-based policies where we have an identity, and if they want to access a certain resource like an S3 bucket, we would attach an identity-based policy to this identity, which would specify that they're allowed to access bucket. Well, resource-based policies work in kind of the opposite way. Like you attach a resource-based policy to the resource. So here we're attaching a resource-based policy, and it says that this identity can access this bucket. So that's how we attach resource-based policies, how they work. And for example, it could say that this identity cannot access this bucket, this identity can access this bucket. So here's what a resource-based policy looks like. As you can see, it looks almost identical to an identity-based policy. The only difference is this principal line over here, which specifies whom this policy actually applies to. So in this case, or this statement in the policy, this statement applies to everybody. A star is a wild card for everybody. But here we could also specify individual identities. So that's what it looks like. Let's have a look at it in action. Here we've got account number one, we've got a bucket, it's got a resource-based policy attached to it, and also in the account there are these identities, and each identity has its own IAM policies attached to it. So now these identities want to access the bucket. So what will happen is AWS will evaluate the combination of the policies. So let's say for this identity over here, this user, what will be evaluated is their identity-based policy, and it will look for any statements relating to this bucket, and it will also AWS will evaluate this resource-based policy and look for any statements related to this identity. And then the combination of those will be applied. So if there's nothing at all, then it'll be a deny. By default, there's a deny. If there's an explicit allow in any one of these, then it'll be allowed unless there's an explicit deny, as we remember from previous tutorials, that an explicit deny always overrides an explicit allow. So that's how it would apply here. Then we might have identities in another account, and they might want to access the bucket as well. So in this case, only the resource-based policy would be applicable, because there is, even if they have their own identity-based policies here, they are not relevant inside this account. And finally, there are public users who might want to access this bucket as well. Well, again, the resource-based policy would only be applicable in this case, plus a special feature of Amazon S3, which is this extra block of all public access. So inside the settings of your bucket, you'll be able to find that setting where you can, by default, all public access is blocked. So nobody from outside your account will be able to access this, or nobody from public internet will be able to access this bucket unless you unblock and uncheck this checkbox. So you'll see that in the practical tutorials. So there we go. That's how resource-based policies work. Another very powerful feature of AWS and controlling access to resources in your account. Here's the summary of what we discussed. I look forward to seeing you here on the next tutorial, and until then, enjoy the cloud.